So here we have it. The latest and supposedly greatest iPad mini 7, or known as the A17 Pro. And I gotta say, the new iPad mini 7 has some mixed reviews from myself along with other creators. But before we get into it, let's do an unboxing and first impressions. And it's been quite a while since we've seen an iPad mini refresh, and here we finally have it. As you can see, this is the 128GB model. This is the base configuration with just the Wi-Fi. This one comes in at $499 as a retail price. And of course, you can always opt for the education discount, which Apple does not verify. So if you want to take advantage of that, you can definitely do so. And with Black Friday and Thanksgiving coming up, you can definitely find some good deals coming up in just a few weeks. So without further ado, we're gonna open this thing up and see what it's all about, if Apple has really made any new changes with the iPad mini. Of course, we have these pull tabs on here to remove it. Whew. Does anyone miss the plastic wrapping on here? I kind of missed that in the old iPads. The anticipated drop. Here we go. Whew. Alrighty. We have the iPad nicely sealed. Look at that. Wow, wow, wow. We're gonna put this aside. Inside, we have some documentation in this little pull tab here. And underneath, we have a charging brick and a woven USB-C to USB-C cable, which is really nice. A lot of the iPhones don't come with this anymore, which is kind of a bummer. Inside this documentation packet, open this up, da-da-da-da. We have iPad mini. This is like a quick start guide, shows you all the features and whatnot. And that's pretty much it. You don't get no Apple stickers, which is kind of sad that they got rid of it. So taking a look at the device itself, this is in the new blue colorway, which has recently launched. And I gotta say, man, does it look pretty. Whew, look at that. It kind of has a gray-like finish. It's not like a very blue. It's almost like washed out blue or baby blue, if you will. It does have a nice sort of metallic shimmer to it, very matte kind of finish as well. So looking at the body itself, it's pretty much the same exact thing as the previous generation. We have only one single camera over here with the microphone and the flash. Up top, we have our Touch ID button, 2 volume rockers, and nothing on the sides. Look at that, very sleek. Hold it down, there we go. But yeah, here we have the new iPad mini. And I gotta say, just right off the bat, first impressions, I love the form factor. It's so small and sleek. I can definitely hold it with one hand, but I kind of have to stretch, my fingers really far. But overall, I think it feels just really nice from a, form factor perspective. And I think that's why people love the iPad mini, because it just feels great in the hand. It gives you an iPad without being overkill big sized, But it's pretty much the same as the previous generation. So if you do have an iPad mini 6th generation, it won't be any different in terms of how it feels. So I had some time to mess around with the new iPad mini, and I want to address some things. The first one being the jelly scrolling issue. And this has been a big issue that has plagued the previous generation iPad mini, and Apple has addressed it and claimed that they fixed it on the new iPad mini 7. And for the most part, I can barely notice it with my naked eye, but it's still there. And there's really no way around it because it's not necessarily a software issue, it's more so a hardware issue. You see, the iPad mini is built with an LCD display, and the way they work is they kind of refresh one side to another. It's not like an LED screen where everything kind of projects at the same time. That's just the nature of how it operates, and it's not just an iPad mini thing, it's pretty much everything, from TVs to monitors. Anything that has an LCD functions the same exact way, but it just seems to be more noticeable on an iPad mini just because it's an interactive device where you're touching it. On top of that, it is only capped at 60 Hertz or 60 frames per second. A lot of the ProMotion displays, they are at 120 Hertz. So even if there is a refreshing issue, you don't really notice it because of how buttery smooth the display already is. Now, this issue only really happens when you're using it in the portrait mode. In my testing, I shot this clip in 60 frames per second and slowed down the footage, and you can kind of see the lines breaking apart or haloing. But oddly enough, when you switch it over to the horizontal configuration, it is totally fine. And that's because the iPad mini's controller board is placed vertically on the side of the iPad, and due to that, the refresh is actually going from left to right or right to left. It kind of has this swooping pattern going on, and when you're holding it horizontally, it's going from up and down, which doesn't really cause any screen tearing issues. Now, like I said earlier, this is not really an issue on a lot of OLED displays or any LED-based displays that we see in other Apple devices. And that segues me to the next point about the iPad mini. It doesn't have an OLED display. I feel like it's kind of the industry standard nowadays. Even the base iPhone models have OLED displays, and it's odd that they're still not bringing it to this device, and it's 2024 going into 2025 already. And with that being said, the rest of the iPad mini's hardware is pretty much the same as the previous generation. If you look at the spec sheet comparing the new iPad mini to its previous generation, literally everything is the same. The only noticeable differences is a new processor, the A17 Pro, which came directly from the iPhone 15 Pro, Apple Intelligence, which is a software-based upgrade. You get Wi-Fi 6E3 versus the previous Wi-Fi 6, and support for an Apple Pencil Pro. And you also get 8 gigs of RAM because of the Apple Intelligence, but other than that, this is literally a copy and paste of the 6th generation iPad mini. It still has amazing features, which we'll get to in just a little bit, but it's a little bit disappointing that over 3 years, we still haven't seen any major changes. And I feel like as consumers, we are not asking for too much. This is still just a $500 device. It's not like a $1,000 device that has all the pro features, but is it too much to ask just to have an OLED display? Something that's a little bit brighter than 500 nits, or something that has a little bit slimmer bezel. I think for a lot of tech enthusiasts, the new iPad mini was kind of a letdown. It sucks that we didn't get the upgrades that we were hoping for. But what doesn't suck is our sponsor, AsperX.
This is your 65-watt, 20 milliamp battery pack for your iPhone, laptop, MacBook, and much more. It's your perfect companion to keep you charged up wherever you are on the go. And for someone like me who's always running low on battery, this power bank will really come in handy. Now, the unboxing experience is quite straightforward. Opening up the box, you have the device itself nicely wrapped in this plastic. Underneath, you have some documentation such as a user manual and warranty information, along with a USB-C to USB-C cable. This can be used for charging the power bank itself and your devices. On the front side, it has a nice display indicating your battery percentage, along with your wattage performance when you are charging your devices. And just a small size comparison, it is very similar to the iPhone 16 Pro Max, but a little bit shorter. Now, to hook it up, you just plug one end of the cable into the power bank and the other end into your device. In this case, it's the iPhone 16 Pro Max. And as you can see, it shows the current wattage output for the charge. If you guys are looking for a very powerful and sleek power bank, AsperX has you covered. If you guys want to pick one up for yourself, there will be a link in the description below, and there is a 30% coupon currently on Amazon.
Now, even though we didn't see major upgrades on the iPad mini, I gotta say it's still quite an amazing device. The mini form factor really sells itself for having the right fit in the hand. The keyboard is super comfortable to type on with all the keys fitting just at your fingertips. And I gotta say, the performance improvements definitely are noticeable. It's super quick and super snappy. I was just setting this thing up, downloading a whole bunch of apps, navigating through it, and it was super, super quick. And that's thanks to the new A17 Pro chip, along with the increased RAM of 8 gigabytes. I feel like the iPad mini has always been a fan favorite for being a very multi-purpose tool. You can use it for leisure, you can watch your movies, your shows, and whatnot, and you can also use it for productivity, which is my main use case. Taking notes on it has been easier than ever before, and especially if you do have an Apple Pencil or a stylus, it just makes it a lot more fluid. Unfortunately, I don't have one, so everything is just using my finger. I feel like the iPad mini is the perfect device for people who want to be on their A game, who are very busy, who just have a lot to get done on the go. And with that being said, it's still not a full computer replacement, but even so, it's a really well-rounded device that can pretty much do it all on the go. Now sure, the iPad mini has its little caveats, pun intended, but if you look past all of its flaws and focus on what it's capable of, you start to notice that all these little issues with the refresh rate or the jelly scrolling kind of just fades away. For a starting price of around $500, you get a lot in a small package. Yet again, pun intended. And on a serious note, I really don't hate the iPad mini. I think it's an amazing device that I would still buy regardless of its flaws. And if you are someone who has a 6th generation iPad mini, I gotta admit that it's not really worth the upgrade because you're pretty much getting the same exact thing. The only time it's worth an upgrade is if you have an even older generation, like a 5th or 4th or even lower than that. Then you would actually see the changes on the new version. But with that being said, this is my review on the new iPad mini 7. What do you guys think about it? Is the whole screen issue really that big of a deal to you? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, but if you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like and a comment below. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and turn on the post notifications to see when I upload. With that being said, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.